Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the special meeting of the Yountville Housing Authority for Tuesday, January 16th, 2018. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order and ask for a roll call, please.
Chair Dunbar.
Here.
Vice Chair Dornbecker.
Here.
Member Moeller.
Here.
Member Durham.
Here.
Member Dorman.
Here.
Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next, adoption of the Housing Authority agenda. Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Thank you. A second? We're not doing the electronic voting for the authorities.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Election of officers. Did we want to do a report on this?
We can. The Housing Authority bylaws calls for a chair and a vice chair for the Housing Authority at its annual meeting. So the mayor of the town council is the chair and the vice mayor is the vice chair. So with that, we ask that you make those appointments, please.
Is there a motion to that effect?
I make a motion for the current appointments.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Thank you. Approval of the minutes from March 21st. Is there any discussion or is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any public comment? No? Now would be your chance. Move on to no consent calendar presentation. Now you get to talk about the Housing Authority annual report. Welcome, Andrea. And I'm not sure that's on. Doesn't sound like it. I think you pushed the bottom. Oh wait, that red light didn't go on. All right.
Thank you. No, I'll start again. Oh, that's much better. Again, I'm Andrea Clark from the Housing Authority of the City of Napa, and I am here to make our annual presentation of our housing services that have been provided to the town. So thank you once again for allowing me to come tonight and do my presentation. Next slide, please. So as you are aware, the town does contract with the Housing Authority to perform a number of services for you, housing-related services. We've done this over probably the last 10 years or more. And I'm here today then to give you a brief report on those. And services provided to the town include some technical assistance related to a variety of housing functions, including assisting you with maintaining affordable units and funding sources, monitoring the affordable projects and rental projects. And additionally, we are also contracted to administer the 2 housing grants that you receive from the Home Program and from the Cal Home Program. Next slide, please. So some of the countywide activities that we do for you is in the way of providing rental assistance through our Housing Choice Voucher program, or also known as our Section 8 program. It's one of the main functions of the Napa Housing Authority. So we do have rental assistance vouchers that come to us through HUD, and then we are able to make those available to for any low and very low persons to be able to use those vouchers to rent any market rate unit anywhere in the county. So currently you have 13 town households that are receiving rental assistance here through that Section 8 program. And then there's also one other household that's receiving through our special rental assistance program called our NEDS, or our Non-Elderly Disabled Persons program. Those vouchers are very specific to a household who either they are themselves disabled and or if they have a child in the home that is disabled. And they do have to be non-elderly to receive that assistance. So we have one person out of, I think, the 100 vouchers that we receive for that program that is using it here in Yountville. So unfortunately, we do have about 15 people that are on the wait list. Our wait list went from 10,000 about 3 years ago down to now it's 2,300 people. So we're working through that. Preference is given to elderly, veterans, and also persons who currently live and work in the county. So the order may shift as persons update their information. But that program is available countywide. And so part of that program then, they do sit with our housing specialists every year to review the program regulations, make sure that they are still income eligible, and then we send a housing inspector into the unit every year to make sure that the unit is clean and habitable and code compliant. So in the area of the homeless services assistance, this is also a county-wide activity. We represent, my housing manager and myself, we represent the town in the continuum of care. We attend meetings either monthly or bi-monthly, and we then talk about what kind of services do the homeless need throughout the county. And then we gather those people that are participating in that program are either the housing nonprofit agencies or county health and human services, and then my housing manager also then represents as the city housing authority, and then we have the county housing authority all participating in that group. This past year, through the continuum and also with the state and the county, we worked together to develop a redesign of the county homeless system. And we found that many people were just kind of getting stuck in the homeless shelters. That's not really where they need to be. We need to find them housing. So through that redesign, there is a homeless house program counselor and coordinator that has been hired. They then are going to oversee all the different programs that are available for the homeless, also oversee some of the funding and how to coordinate the funding that does come into the county, because there's really a lot of money that comes into our county, federally, state, and then also private monies. So, and then we've developed a funders collaborative and a flex pool. I think some of the council members may know about this already, but that's to bring some of those private stakeholders together along with the public stakeholders together to see how we might be able to share some of the funding, and then also how we can then use that to reduce homelessness countywide. And then we've also redesigned how people enter the homeless shelter. So the focus really is to divert them. We don't want them going to the housing shelter. So the focus is to get them housing. Because some people just need a little help and some people need a lot of help. And then how we can then coordinate if they need some kind of other services to go along with that, rental assistance maybe, so that they can actually keep their housing. So, and then we've also then developed a coordinated entry system into the homeless shelters, and we've got I think there's 5 main areas or agencies that are then coordinating that effort, so that then we can interview the people when they need help, so then we can really find out what really they need. And instead of having them go off to all, scattered throughout the county, and because we often get people to come into the housing authority thinking, well, we are the ones that can help them with immediate homelessness, and we go, well, and then we would send them to other agencies that we thought that they could get help from. Now we have some more centralized. and actually be able to get help, more immediate help for them. So part of the continuum of care to be able to fund these different programs and things that are going on is we applied to HUD for a grant, and we annually apply for these funds for homeless assistance and case management. And we were just informed last week that we were awarded almost another $750,000 to be able to continue these programs. So we were pretty excited about that because HUD was talking about cutting programs when in essence they actually gave us a 4% increase. So we knew we were doing something right. So under the area of standard homeless or housing services, our big function there is then to monitor your regulatory agreements. So in the area of the for sale housing, as you know, we've been doing a lot of monitoring of the occupancy, the owner occupancy. And we had 4 units this past year that we were really keeping our eye on. It was determined that 1 unit was in default, so we worked through that process. And then we are continuing some investigations of some of the other units that we suspect might be in default. In regards to the rental projects, we then confirm that the units are being rented at the appropriate rental rates according to the affordability covenants that have been recorded on the property. We talk to the landlords and confirm that they are renting the units according to the town's preference policy. And I had a meeting today with Hopper Creek property manager, and she informed me probably the majority of the units are being rented to either employees of the hotel itself and or other hotels in the town. And so that's different because when the units were first built, there wasn't any hotel employees there. So I think a lot of people are relating to that live-work convenience. So that was exciting to see today. Okay. So our big big project that we worked on last year was the declaration of default for the 27 Landy. So we worked with the seller of that property to then make sure that he was doing all of the repairs and to make that home in sellable condition. It was in pretty rough shape when we went in to see it. And so our housing inspector went in and walked the property and gave him a very definite list of what needs to be done. And then she would periodically go over there and inspect to make sure everything was being done, and especially some of the electrical and plumbing things he had to do, make sure it was being done to code. And we walked through that process and monitored the escrow of the town acquiring the property, and then started the work for the actual then sale of the property to Napa Valley Community Housing. So. And under the loan servicing portion of our contract, then we are contracted then to provide the loan servicing for the owner rehab loans that we are then assisting with issuing and working on those projects. And part of that includes marketing of the program and reaching out to homeowners, reaching out to the mobile home park owners, property managers, realtor. We have actually given out information at some of the public forums and things throughout the county, letting people know that these programs here are available in Yountville. Next slide, please. So part of that marketing then is we receive applications. We've processed those applications. We collect the income documentation to make sure that the applicants are eligible. We do inspections on the properties to make sure the property itself is eligible and that the work is eligible. And walk through the once we have determined that they're eligible to receive a loan, then just walk through that whole construction process to do the repairs on the property. So the main function is to make sure that these properties are healthy and sanitary and code compliant. So those are the big pushes, and then of course they can request other items to be done too. Big things are more energy efficient windows and furnaces and air conditioners, those types of things. So under this program, with the 2 grants that are wrapping up, we've completed 15 projects under the Home Program grant, and 18 projects have been completed under the Cal Home grant, and another 2 are in the process and should be done next month. And part of the loan servicing also then is conducting each year. We have to confirm that they are still owner occupying the units. We confirm that they are paying their taxes and or registration fees if it's if they have a mobile home, and they have to keep their homeowners insurance current. So annually we visit everybody and collect all of that information too. So I wanted to give you an update of what's been going on with these 2 grants. And so as you see, in 2014, the town was awarded a grant through the Home Program of $500,000. You actually got access to the funds somewhere in about July of 2015. We had a little trouble with this grant because HCD kind of changed up the rules in between and lowered the after rehabilitation value and or market value of the property that we could actually work on. So we couldn't just work on any home in the town. We had to find a home that was market value was under $470,000. So that, as you know, there's not too many here in the town that are under that market value. So it really limited who we could actually assist. And so we were, unfortunately, you left a little bit of money on the table, but we were able to help 15 households, so we really feel proud about that achievement. And part of this grant, then, we will have to continue the monitoring of the owner occupancy. If any homes that you've assisted resell, then your loan will be paid back. That money comes back to the town, and then we can reuse it to lend it out to another low-income household to do the same kind of program. The other grant that the town had received was a Cal Home grant. Again, that was a 2014 grant. You got access to the funds somewhere about late May of 2015. It takes the state a while to roll out the contracts and actually let you start using the funds. But again, we've helped 18 households, and then another 2 that are those projects are in process right now, and we anticipate that all of the funds will be used on that grant. So we're pretty excited about that one, and again, we'll have to monitor all of those. And again, if any of those funds are repaid to the town, then we can put it back into the fund and use it again. So, you know, I think those 2 grants for the first time around were pretty successful. And we did apply for a CDBG grant for the town, and you'll probably know somewhere about March or April about that one. So that was $500,000 to hopefully continue the program. So, and then in the area of affordable regulatory agreements, as I mentioned, we work with the town to be able to provide some technical assistance and review of the sale documents for 27 Landy from the town to Napa Valley Community Housing, and then walk through that escrow process, and then also reviewed the rents and income limits with Napa Valley Community Housing. That then the town was able to secure a rental restriction agreement for 50 years on that property. And that property then has to be rented to somebody, a household that is at 100% of median income. and the rent then has to be affordable to that income level also. So, for an example, a household of 4, their income could not be more than $91,000 to be an eligible tenant. Yes. So the good outcome of all of this is that they were able, Napa Valley Community Housing was able to rent the home almost immediately, and a town employee is the tenant and their family. So, yeah, it's pretty. Those are some good, happy outcomes. Yeah, and then I also then worked with the seller and the buyer of 2 and 4 Girardi Place. That property did sell. It was kind of a long process, but last October that transaction finally concluded, and just reviewed those restrictions with the seller was thinking they could sell it for anything, and the buyer was unaware of really all the restrictions, so made sure that they were aware of what they were getting into. And as I mentioned, that property did sell in October. There has been some changes of tenancy there, and the property management has contacted us each time to make sure that they are renting to the appropriate income levels and the appropriate rental levels. So, and then additional housing services that we provide to the town. As I mentioned, we are contracted to administer and operate the Cal Home and the home grants. So that's a separate contracts. The state wanted us to separate those services as far as the initial administration of the grant until we got all the grant funds spent, and then those services will then fall under our regular housing services agreement as far as the annual monitoring. And part of that, too, then, is the financial record keeping and all the reports. We have to report quarterly and annually to HCD of the grant activity. And so those we prepare those reports and then send them to the staff here to review, and then we submit them on behalf of the staff. And so those functions will go on even though the grants may be expiring. And as I mentioned, we did apply for that CDBG grant, so we're pretty excited about that forthcoming. And so then throughout the year, myself and my housing manager, we have been available for any kind of questions that might come up. I get calls from Sandra all the time, and we look forward to continuing our working relationship with you all, and I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Questions of the report? Just one quick one. We don't really have any time, but maybe 25 words or less. The impact on the fires in homelessness or just general affordability of housing?
I think I heard in the office we actually had 3 Section 8 tenants that were displaced. So out of the over 1,000 vouchers that we have, they were displaced by the fire. Rentals, the availability of rentals has even tightened up even more. And as I know you've all been hearing, the rental rates have gone up even more. So that's kind of the unfortunate part is the fire happened in October, and normally rental rates do go up in January. So we were seeing sort of the annual increase, but then I think also the demand on the market had also driven probably rental rates up higher than they probably would have been.
Sure. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I see no other business.